Hi folks, John Dunn, RPG freelancer, publisher behind Melee Review. I am up here tonight at Immortals with Mikey.
What is going on, John? It feels good to be here and be present. What are we talking about today?
So I wanted to talk about the Drift Crisis, which is a pretty new book that came out recently for Starfinder.
Ooh, Starfinder again.
Yes.
Let's go.
And this one's actually kind of a new book that they haven't really done in the line of Starfinder before. So I kind of wanted to talk about that. So the development leads on this are John Compton and Joe Piscini. This is a Paizo product, so they had a whole crew of authors and artists involved. What makes this special is that this is a Metaplot event. So do you know what Metaplot is?
I was just about to ask you, what does Metaplot mean?
So a Metaplot is something that happens in the world, in the setting, that transforms it in some way. So the Drift Crisis is a real big friggin' deal in the world of Starfinder, and it's something that happens in addition to the adventures that the characters are participating in, and it can shift the tone of those adventures and really kind of change the universe as they know it.
So kind of like the explosion of the Death Star. Would that be a Metaplot or no?
Well, I mean, that was kind of a very explicit part of the plot, but maybe if you weren't one of the heroes in A New Hope, yeah, right, having
okay, so something that's like, you're not a part of, but it affects you.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. Part of this Metaplot event, in addition to the book, they're doing two different adventure paths, which are called Drift Crashers and Drift Hackers. And those are going to be coming out in the near future, possibly even out by the time you're viewing this. There's three parts of this book, talking about the Drift Crisis and the nations and adventures, because this actually has a lot of content on here that talks about existing adventures and how they're affected by the Drift Crisis if your characters are going through those when this happens. And then there's a toolbox of some new stuff. In the Drift Crisis section, it talks about how the Drift is about 300 years old and a gift from the machine god Triune. What happened in the Crisis is that hyperspace, the Drift, basically broke. So people had been using the Drift for traveling between systems and even within systems and talking to the deity Triune, and Triune suddenly isn't talking back. This is the mother of all supply chain disruptions, right? I mean,
literally.
Yeah, it really is. The whole supply chain just got busted.
It's like cutting off all, cargo around the whole world.
Yeah,
like planes,
basically,
boats,
yeah, it's like
that.
All of a sudden ships don't go.
So yeah, we can't trade anymore. Good luck. Have a good day.
Exactly.
Can't go anywhere you want.
So we know that the Drift has kind of been absorbing things with every transit, and some of that's affected, but people that were in the Drift in mid-travel just got dumped out, so they could be anywhere. And sometimes the Drift kind of works since that crash initially happened, but it's unpredictable. It's slower. Communications that went through the Drift are still a mess. And there's a detailed section here that talks about a lot of different locations and how they were affected by the crash. There's themes, there's class options, and there's gear, all of that tied directly into that. Then there's a whole section of the book of adventures. There's 20 different adventure seeds. Each of them's around 2 to 6 pages. And these include gear and character options and spells. And there's an index of all this material that's included as well. And then finally, there's a toolkit. It gives you the official answer, so GMs only at this point really, about what's causing the Drift Crisis and what the ramifications could be. But it also offers you a bunch of different theories that are prevalent in the world. And maybe in your Starfinder campaign, one of those other theories is the one that's true, particularly if you're not going to be running the adventure paths that tie into this event. There's also a whole bunch of treasures, special items that are, cool and character building and campaign building that tie into these different elements. And then you get some suggestions in the toolkit for how they could affect the different adventure paths that are out there already. I think there's about 6 or 7 adventure paths out there already for Starfinder. And each of those get a little bit of a write-up and different points within those adventure paths where you could trigger the Drift Crisis and what that would cause the campaign, how things would run differently. I think this is a fantastic opportunity to really shake up your campaign world, right? So this changes things a bit. It puts the players in a lot of different positions where they could really, change the world around them, or they could become stranded from the world they're familiar with and forced to survive. So you can do a whole survival horror campaign, either as the characters are, struggling to fly their damaged ship, or visit a space station that might even not be in great shape, or visit a colony world that is very poorly supported, or possibly even, a major civilization waypoint that depends upon imported goods to be sustainable. Like Absalon Station, for instance, needs to have stuff brought to it constantly. And if the drift isn't working, all those places that they use for those resources aren't able to deliver them. It really changes everything. And you've got people who are entering into these desperate situations and scrambling to try and fix things and find other solutions for how they might travel. Desperate people means all kinds of fantastic opportunities for adventure.
Yeah, fantastic is quite the adjective to use right there. And when you said like Game Master exclusive, does that mean like there's a possible solution for this crisis?
It does. There's some very explicit possible solutions for the crisis, but they don't have to be the ones that they mention as the one in your campaign. Like I said, you as the Game Master can decide this crisis is happening in a totally different way, or has a different trigger and a different solution. And how long you want it to last can also depend upon that. Maybe the drift will never function again in your campaign, and because of that, the whole galaxy is going to develop along a different path. Maybe this is just something that's going to happen for a couple of weeks in your campaign, in which case, hey, things are back to normal quickly, but maybe there was a shift in power during those couple of weeks when the supply chain was disrupted and some people lost fortunes or made fortunes.
That sounds stressful.
It could be, but it can be really cool. And it can, again, really shake up your campaign and put your players, force your players to think about things in a different way, kind of puts them on the back foot as they kind of scramble to come up with new ways of looking at things.
True.
So this is a full color hardcover from Paizo, about 190 pages. It's $45. We do have copies in stock up here at Immortals Inc. on the shelf, or available from immortalsinc.com.
Absolutely. Best option, immortalsinc.com.
Till next time, folks, good gaming.
Peace out.